Good morning, everyone. Welcome to your Leadership and Business Friday. My name is Sorel Ketan. My co-host is Giovanni Gonzalez. He's not here with me, but guess what? We've got Brigitta with us this morning. And this morning is going to be the kind of morning where if you are someone who's got an idea worth spreading and you want to learn how to make it go, not just viral in terms of the number of people who see it, but viral in terms of where it's published and how it's published, this episode is for you. So we're going to roll. Welcome back. Welcome back, Brigitta. How are you? I can't believe it. You're back. You're here. You're back on the Daily Huddle.
I am here with my Daily Huddle family. Thank you, Sorel and Daily Huddle family, for having me.
Oh, my God. Well, I'm going to get everybody anchored. Then I'll say a few things about you. And, I need not say anything, but I will say a few things about you. But before we get rolling, my friend Chase is here. And Chase, I'd love to know, how are you?
I am inspired and open.
Inspired and open. And who will you hug today, Chase?
Today, I plan to hug a random person that I meet today. Just give them a hug and let them know an outside person is there for them.
Oh, that is perfect. Monica is fond of saying, ask for permission first. You never know.
Always. I always say, may I hug you? I always say
that. Good morning, Chase. Good morning. And Rashida, good morning to you. Tell me, where are you?
Good morning, my happy daily family. Oh, my holy family is so amazing. I am where I am. I am in my consciousness and my awareness, and I'm in the universe.
Stay right where you are. You could try to move, but you will be here. Welcome, Rashida. Good morning, Tara. It's always amazing to see you on a Friday morning. I can't wait to ask you, what time is it and what are you grateful for?
Oh, good morning. Good morning. The time is right now, the only time that matters. And what am I grateful for? I think I'm feeling grateful for the Daily Huddle this morning.
Yeah, well, if anybody's got a TED Talk in them, I know it's you. So this morning is crafted just for you, Tara, and everyone else, of course, but I want one for you. Well, good morning, folks. I want to introduce you to my very dear friend, Brigitta. Brigitta's, she introduces herself this way. So proud, German female business owner that lives the American dream. That's who she is. Owner and founder of 2 educational institutions. Brigitta is a tenacious and fun grandmaster speaker. By strategically leading leaders from the heart, she creates a legacy unlike anything you have experienced. And you can connect with Brigitta on her website at centerofnlp.com. Brigitta, good morning. Welcome. I cannot wait for you to take us through this journey. Brigitta recently led a TEDx talk in Germany, and she's here to share the journey with us, do an x-ray and take us into the guts of what a TEDx talk is, and leave you empowered and enabled to create your own. The question of the day is how to become a TED speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, Brigitta.
Well, First of all, thank you, Sorel. Thank you, Daily Huddle family, for having me. It is a beautiful Friday. I couldn't think of any other place to be than here right now. And for the ones that are watching, and maybe even rewatching the recording, you want to have something to write with and something to write on, because I am going to give you nuggets after nuggets that you don't find online. So, as Sorel already said, I was invited to give a TEDx talk, and I want to first address what is TED for the ones that don't know what is, which I think most people know what a TED talk is, and then go into, really put our X-ray lenses on and go deeper into that. So first of all, TED has been around for decades, and TED is it's not a name of a person. It stands for technology, entertainment, and design. And it was originally built as a stage for people to share new ideas. And out of that, you might know people like Simon Sinek, start with Y. He did an incredible TED Talk. Brene Brown. Brene Brown did not even know, if you know who Brene Brown is, B-R-E-N-E Brown, last name. Look her up. If you never heard of her, you want to listen to her TED Talk. And when she gave her first TED Talk, and she's done another one since, at least one, she didn't even know what she was doing. She just knew that she was invited. She's a professor. She's a great storyteller, and she has all of this incredible knowledge. And she was just invited to speak on this TED stage, and she didn't know what that meant back in the days. And through her TED Talk, she just overnight almost became visible to so many people, because what happens when you give a TED Talk or a TEDx talk, you are actually, and I'll give you the preliminaries later on, you're actually being put on the YouTube channel from TED and TEDx. And that's how she became this huge visibility. But the huge visibility doesn't just come from you standing on a stage and opening your mouth and spitting out some maybe great information. And I want to give you a little bit of insights that I've gathered over my experience and with my TEDx talk. So I'm going to give you a TEDx ray vision into what it takes to become an empowered, visible TEDx speaker. Now, I have a coach to guide me through. I have actually, I'm going to just be just like Brene Brown, be really vulnerable. On my mind board, and I call it mind board because it's a planned out board. It's not just a clipping of pictures, like a vision board. So in my mind board last year, I actually cut out and put in, I am going to speak on a TEDx stage. It's on my mind board. My mind board's hanging right there. And I was reminded of it when I looked at it the other day, and I was like, oh yeah, I put that on there, and I did that. But when I put that on there, I didn't even know how to get there. I didn't know, what will it take to be a TEDx speaker? I know, and for the ones that do know me, I'm a great speaker. I don't say that out of ego. I say that from the feedback that I'm getting from other people. I connect with the audience. I make it about them. And I'm going to go through that here in a second as well. But I didn't know what it takes. All I knew was TEDx, you got to be really, really precise in your message. It's got to be an interesting new idea, and it's going to be short. It's going to be anywhere between 16 and 18 minutes short. Now, can we agree that most of us can just, riff it off and just talk for hours and hours and hours? It is the brevity and the conciseness that goes into a well-mastered talk for 16 minutes. So I want to go into, the TEDx ray of what I have learned over my experience. So I hired a coach specifically. I have two other coaches, but I hired a coach specifically to even understand, what do I need to do to get on TEDx stages? What are the do's and don'ts? guide me through it, give me examples, someone that is actually, well, it's probably not just a coach, it's a mentor, been there, done that. And I found a great lady, and with her, she has created her own TEDx stages, and in Idaho. And she's also working at a university. So she's helped her students craft their TED Talks, their TEDx talks. So I reached out to her, and through that process, I realized I'm so glad I actually have someone. Just like an X-ray, you don't just go to your friend and say, "Hey, can you take an X-ray for me?" First of all, they don't have the machine. They don't have the knowledge of how to use an X-ray, and then they don't have the knowledge of how to read an X-ray. Of what does all of that stuff mean that I'm seeing on this X-ray? So I'm so honored and glad that I hired her to get an insight of, how do I craft my application? How do I craft my idea? Now, those are all things that you can Google, and their YouTubes and all of that. But then it really goes into the heart of the story. So the head of the X-ray is, you gotta have a big idea. You gotta have, and maybe it is, when I say big idea, maybe it's something that's already out there, but with your story and with your knowledge and with your expertise, you're putting a twist on it, or you're going deeper into one area, and you're really opening people's eyes, like, oh, I have never thought about that in that way. I've never heard it like that, right? What I said earlier, TED stands for Technology, Entertainment, and Design. What TEDx is not, because there's no M in there, is motivation. So they will not allow motivational speakers on their stages. They will not allow salespeople on their stages. It's not about the sale. It is about the being of value and service to the people that are watching, to the people that are in the audience. There were 400 people. It was a sold out event in Frankfurt, Germany. And I did deliver the talk in English, because what happens when you are delivering a great TEDx talk and you get a lot of visibility, TED, the big TED stage, will then, they use that kind of as a vetting tool. They will then invite you, and you will only be invited. You cannot apply for the big TED stage unless you're like Brene Brown at this point, or Bill Gates, or someone like that. So the head is the big idea. The heart is the story that connects you to your participants, so you can relate to your audience. You're not telling your story of, oh, look how great I am, and everyone wants to follow you. If that is the goal, it's going to backfire you 100%. And, in my speaker training, where I now have absorbed all of this information that I'm sharing with you right now, I am going into that, and I have been literally preaching that as an empowered speaker, it is not about you. It's about them. And quick side note, I recall being in that room in Frankfurt at the Marriott Hotel the day before. I flew in 2 days prior just to get situated. And I was in that room that morning. We started at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and there were 8 speakers, and we ended pretty late at night. But I got in that room at 9:30 in the morning, and I recall just being really in my head and really anxious. And it just kind of all caught up with me, right? I've been preparing since March this year for something that I did end of October 24th. And I called up my coach. This time it was my coach that I've been working with for years. And I said, I don't know if I can do this. And she said, Brigitta, you have spoken on how many stages with people like Tony Robbins? Are you really sure you can't do this? And I said, yeah, I can. Thank you for the reminder. She said, what is one thing that you are usually doing when you get on stage? Because I can go on a stage and talk. That's not the problem. I said, what is it that I usually do before I go on stage? Well, I literally check my own stuff, like my ego, at the door. And then before I go the steps on stage, I have a mantra of, I'm going to give value and service to them, because it's not about me, it's about them. That's my mantra when I go on stage. And she goes, so what changed? And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's what I teach. Make it about them. And I said, oh my gosh, Lynn, that means I'm going to go up, present my syntax, and I'm going to go through that in a second as well, going to deliver the syntax, and I'm going to fill in with my own words of what I have prepared, but it's really not the words that I'm saying, it's what they're getting out of it. And that's the key. And if you walk away with nothing else today, I really want you to walk away with that. Make it about them and know that they're going to be able to take the bits and pieces that you have shared with them, and they can apply it immediately in their life. So that's the big idea. Then the heart, stay connected and connect to the audience. Your story must be able to relate to the audience. So if you have a story that's a very niche story, think about what a broadcaster on radio would do and how would they just draw everyone in. Because if you're just broadcasting to a very narrow niche audience, you're actually losing the rest of the audience. There are 400 people in my audience in front of me, sold out, sponsored by Deloitte, was a big deal. And when you're on YouTube, everyone is your audience. So you wanna be specific in your story, but you wanna make it so relatable that it literally relates to everyone. That's the heart. The spine of the whole TEDx talk is 16 to 18 minutes long. It's you start with the idea, you kind of disrupt, almost like a pattern interrupt, you disrupt of what people think they know about the topic that you're about to talk to as you introduce it. And then you go and lead with your story of where this idea came from and how it has made an impact on you. And you really want to, put in all of the emotions, and you want to draw a scenery as you're talking. There were some speakers that had slides. I basically, in this case, would not use slides because it takes away from the words that I'm saying. There were some entertainers, there were some singer-songwriters that brought their idea and their story through their songs, which was really interesting as well. So I think it was Ben Franklin that once said, if I would have had more time, I would have written a shorter memo. That means there goes a lot of preparation into writing the syntax of your TED Talk. And I call it syntax and not a script, because what happens when you're delivering a script, and I saw it on stage with my fellow other 7 speakers, they're in their head and they totally miss the connection to the audience. And that's a big, big problem. That's a big problem because they're not going to get the visibility that they potentially have by connecting to people in the audience. I did not sell from stage. There were people standing in line to shake my hand and to get to know me and to follow me on LinkedIn, and some reached out and now we're working together. But that was not the goal ever. The goal was to bring value and service to the audience. So being very concise in your syntax so you can know which points to hit when, to then tie a pretty bow at the very end, give them the next step. I gave them a challenge so they can actually immediately implement the information I gave them, the big idea that I gave them, so they can then implement it in their life right from there on. So I got booked. One of the Deloitte managers reached out to me and said, we love what you talked about. I think it's a great topic for one of our leadership conferences. Those are the things that are happening, but that is not the goal. I cannot stress that enough. That's not what TEDx is meant for. It is literally meant for you sharing your great idea, what you stand for. Like, what wakes you up at 3 o'clock in the morning and moves you so much? Within that spine are sound bites. I call them sound bites because there's something that people will pick up. Actually, TEDx Frankfurt did an incredible job in picking up some of those sound bites, making memes out of them and sharing them on their social media. So you want to have sound bites that people write down, because when your words, your sound bites come out of someone else's mouth, that positions you as the expert. So you want to have great sound bites that are like catchy, right? So again, and those are prepared, but if they come across as scripted and as you talking like a robot, and I don't just say that. Unfortunately, there were people that got stuck in their script in their head, and they said the same sentence over and over until they remember what's the next sentence that they wanted to say. There's so much lost in that.
Wow,
And then there's,
Brigitta,
yes,
that was like a phenomenal journey for you, wasn't it?
it was.
And you know, just like the TEDx sounds so much like the Daily Huddle.
Yes.
You know, you come in, you have something of value to contribute. It's about that value. And what happens in the end is what happens in the end. You came to make a contribution. So the contribution you're making is that you're now opening it up and saying, gosh, everybody and anybody can be a TEDx speaker. The question is, do you want it? And if you want it, who are you going to engage to guide you along the way? So let's open it up for questions. What do you think?
Yeah, I love it. Please.
So who wants to be a TEDx speaker or a TED speaker? If you do, I'm clear you have some questions for Brigitta. Tara, I see you smiling.
Well, Cece's raising her hand, so let's let her have her question, and then I'll tell you where I am on my TEDx goal journey. And I do have a question.
Okay, good deal. Cece, go ahead.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you. I would like to know what kind of coach did you use to prepare for the TED Talk?
So
and how could I get one?
I vetted my I did call her coach, but that's really not the right term. She's more of a mentor than a coach. And I have stepped into that mentorship. So you're welcome to contact me, and I'd be happy to give you a few names that you can reach out to and vet them. You want to vet the people. When I say vet, I mean like really ask good questions. Have they been there? Have they been successful? You know, are they doing this as a one-off? Have they ever done a TED Talk themselves? You know, all of those things. Because there's a lot that goes into that. I'll share my information with you later. But great question.
And
you do want to have someone.
On the shoulders of your question, CC, if I heard you correctly, Brigitta, getting a coach and having a coach to guide you through the process is essential.
Yes.
Yeah. Tara?
Yeah.
Thank you for this information. You know, I didn't know this was the topic today. And when you said that, Cyril, I was like, wow, it's my lucky day. I've been traveling all week and said, I need some daily huddle. And here we are. My question is really a little bit tactical, and it's in the application process. So I've been researching my area, and I can't really pull the trigger, for lack of a better word, on deciding where I need to apply. They're all so different. Yeah. It's a bit overwhelming.
Yes, I'm glad that that you say that, because what I meant to say earlier, before the pandemic, there were 300 TEDx stages around the world. Now there are over 4,000 TEDx stages around the world. And they are all TEDx. TED is the big stage, the big conference stage. TEDx are individual chapters. Now they all go by the same TEDx rules or TED rules, but they're all governed individually. Like here in Atlanta, we have 3 TED stages. We have TEDx Women, we have a TEDx Atlanta, and then I think we have one at Georgia Tech. So there are TEDx stages that are connected to a university. Like my coach, she created the chapter at a university as a professor. And if you are in that realm, that makes sense, right? So I literally started here in my hometown in Atlanta. Then I went and applied in Birmingham. I applied in Chattanooga. I applied in Munich, Stuttgart, Frankfurt. I had over 10 applications out at one point, and I had the core message for my application. My coach helped me with that, but I had to fine tune it for each application process because it's not streamlined, unfortunately, from one TEDx chapter to another. So you want to have the core together, like your core message, your big idea, you know, what they're going to walk away with, your talking points. Some will have, you know, some will give you 14 minutes on stage, some will give you 18 minutes on stage. Some will actually give you, I then got a coach from Frankfurt that would guide me through that. Once I applied and I got approved, they gave me another person that helped me work through with the team as we're getting closer to the event. So I would put out, you know, go and read the application rules with a magnifying glass and follow each step rigidly. Because when they say, you know, Birmingham might have said, hey, send us a 3-minute video. Atlanta said, send us a 1-minute video. I'm not just going to edit that 3-minute video. I create a 1-minute video and it stops at 59 seconds or 60 seconds. I am not going over into 61 seconds. So you want to be very rigid because they get so many applications that if you're not following one of the rules, that's already out.
Okay, thank you. And a follow-up question. A lot of them say, and I don't think they say this as much as they used to, that it's better to have someone nominate you, but if not, you can nominate yourself. Is that kind of going away, or is that?
You know, I had that conversation in Frankfurt and I said, look, I have someone that I would like to nominate for Frankfurt. And Carla said, that will get them an immediate in. If you're not Brigitta, we know your caliber of speaking. And when you nominate someone, we know we don't even have to vet them.
Okay, so if you can make that happen, it's pretty powerful.
Yeah.
Got it.
Brigitta, I'm hearing in your answer to Tara that the application process itself, one could use that to hone the message. As you apply several places, you get to actually feel your way into the message that is yours. Did that happen for you?
That happened for me in the application process, and that happened to me after I even got confirmed into Frankfurt TEDx. I have I finally went on stage with version 4 or TEDx Talk 4 version 10. So it continuously evolved.
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of heard that the application process was not just for the application process. You could actually use it to propel you forward. And whether the application gets accepted or denied, going through the process itself has a lot of value, a ton of value.
If you just do it for that, that helps you really to hone in one message that you want to bring across. And what most TEDx stages, once you are approved and once they confirm that you're speaking on their stage, they will usually not want you during that time that you're preparing to speak on their stage, go out and apply or speak on other stages, especially not with your message. So it's one TED Talk, one message, and then you're going to, when I apply for another stage, for another TED Talk, I'm going to bring another message. I'm going to bring another big idea. Perfect. So Brigitta, time flies on the Daily Huddle, and I bet it flew on TEDx stage too. So what are your final words for today to our TEDx speakers? And I do say TEDx speakers because I'm declaring that for myself. I'm declaring that for you. And what is your final word for TEDx speakers? So TEDx creates a prepared environment. They do all the work, the marketing. You want to be the prepared speaker. with your prepared syntax and your prepared sound bites. That's your job. And that's where you want to really hone in and spend time on that very intentionally.
Thank you, Brigitta. And like you, I'm going to pin something to my board and it will say, I'm a TEDx speaker by December 2023.
That's right. That's right.
Well, folks,
That's
this
how
is
it
our show. We'll be back on Monday morning with Money Matters with our friends, Zach and Kimberly Odie. I can't wait to see you there on Monday morning. And we're parting just as we part every day with our 7+1 tenets. Love like you've never loved before. You know, give yourself the permission to not only feel it, but get the ones in your lives to know it. Laugh. If you can't laugh, get somebody to tickle you. Go to a comedy show, laugh out loud, roll out in the aisles and get your belly laugh. It will do your body good. Stress less. Eat mostly plant-based.
Professor.
And give, sleep, move your body. And last but not least, check yourself before you wreck yourself. This is our show for today. We'll see you on Monday, bright and early.
Thank you, Brigitta. Thank you, Terrell.
Thanks,
Y'all have a
guys.
good
Guys,
weekend.
my love.
Great
Have a
job.
great weekend.
Bye, everyone. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Guys.